you're going to have a chilly walk, a chilly ride home.
That's okay.
Let me say hello. It's a very beautiful night.
Have fun yet?
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
It'd be better if it was a little warmer.
It's cold out there.
What in the world?
You can't really see it.
Got a brain?
This is
What in
this
the
part
world?
questionable, but
It's for item C on new business, I do believe.
Okay. Who's kidding?
well, I'd say and CUP
Did
is
Levi do this?
limited to
That's their best work. You get on.
yeah.
I need to talk to Brantley about that. Have to turn this mic away.
Stage of the collection, the right company name.
We'd have drinks in myself.
Get on the calendar. I'll get those.
2 years ago.
See that.
Hi.
Okay.
And add and may not be trans.
When? When is it? Oh, really? Are you going over?
Yeah, I'm going to tomorrow.
This month of
Oh, yeah.
December is our birthday month. Okay. Good? Yeah, just
Better than me?
probably not.
Same.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't social yourself.
I have several.
Have one of them. This is nice. I'm gonna steal his.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome in from the cold. So, would you please stand if you're able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome Ms. Tanish Welch, who's Executive Director of the Charlie Ferguson Center, to deliver the invocation, please. Welcome.
Bow your heads, please. Dear Lord, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for life, health, and strength. I'm requesting a special prayer right now for our mayor and our council so that they would have the wisdom and the courage to always do the right thing, especially during these times of uncertainty. These blessings we ask in your name. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tanish. I'll call to order our February 20th, 2025 council meeting. Begin with a consideration to approval of tonight's agenda. Any changes, revisions, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All members voted for the motion. We have a couple of presentations, some guests and visitors this evening, beginning with a presentation of Cherokee County Safe Streets for All. Welcome.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your attention for this presentation. My name is Kat Onor. I am a planner with Pond & Company, and I'll be sharing some information about the Cherokee County Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan that has been ongoing for the past year. So just to update you, for anyone who is not familiar with this process so far, Cherokee County initiated this project about 2 years ago through a application for funding to do a safety action plan through the Safe Streets and Roads for All program. Safety had been identified as a major priority countywide, and so Cherokee County partnered with all of the municipalities to pursue a plan for safer streets and programs throughout the county. So a little bit about the Safe Streets and Roads for All program. This is a program that was created as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. It really emphasizes the safe systems approach. So it's a little bit of a departure from our traditional transportation safety planning approach, and I'll detail a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. One key thing about the Safety Action Plan is it makes Cherokee County and its partners eligible for future grants through other federal grant programs for implementation dollars. There's been a pretty robust community engagement program over the past year, including a large stakeholder group. We've had a very active stakeholder group that we expect to remain active following the planning process and really champion this effort moving forward. 2 separate public meetings, as well as a bunch of community pop-ups. So we were here in Canton a few times, as well as other locations throughout the county, and online engagement as well. Some of the key takeaways that we've heard here, probably nothing super surprising here, but a lot of concerns about speeding and aggressive driving, calls for better bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, intersection upgrades, education and public awareness programs, and collaboration across county departments and partners. A couple highlights, the themes here were really speeds, curvy roads, poor visibility, and lack of bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, but just want to point out for Canton in particular, there were some conversations about high school safety programs in particular with the new high school coming in soon. So the reason I am here presenting to you all today is that one of the requirements of the Safe Streets for All program is that there be an adopted Vision Zero resolution. And so what is Vision Zero? Vision Zero is a commitment to achieve a elimination of all traffic-related deaths and serious injuries. And this is really, it's not a one-time slogan or tagline. It's really a full paradigm shift and a shift of thinking of how we treat traffic safety overall. So the traditional approach to traffic safety really emphasized education and active measures. These are things that really are really effective for the people they reach, but really only for the people they reach, right? So the Safe Streets approach has sort of a foundation that also targets some of the underlying issues, the overall built environment, the things we all experience when we're using the transportation system, and the socioeconomic factors. It's really making sure that we're comprehensively addressing safety here. And just a couple of examples of those things. So sort of at that foundation of the socioeconomic factors influence policy and legislation. So the adoption of the Vision Zero resolution is the first piece of that, and a big piece of it. Moving down to changing organizational practices. So really making sure that at a staff level, decision-making is happening that supports safety, making sure that safety is integrated into all of the engineering practices that happen. All the way down to, at that bottom tier, more things that are focused on the individual level, so promoting community education and then strengthening individual knowledge and skills. So the leadership commitment that we are asking for you all today, the Vision Zero commitment that is stated in the plan is that Cherokee County will achieve zero traffic deaths and serious injuries by 2040. That's about a 15-year timeline. That is very consistent with what other communities in the Atlanta Metro have targeted, Cobb County, Atlanta. There's several other counties that have looked at the same resolution and have fallen in that ballpark. This will work out to about a 5% decrease in traffic deaths and serious injuries over that 15-year period. There have been about 500 total fatalities and serious injuries over the 5 years of data analyzed as part of this process. So it'll take a lot of effort to slowly chip away at that. How do we get there? So a big part of that is infrastructure projects, of course, these traditional engineering safety projects. There is a short-term, mid-term, and long-term work program proposed as part of the plan. These projects were identified based on both a technical analysis as well as community and stakeholder input. I will note that The commitment that we are asking the councils to adopt as part of this process does not commit any funding specifically. It's really more a commitment to overall decision-making and that sort of culture of safety within the leadership and the staff. So just to point out a couple of things, and I realize this is small here, but I will talk you through some of it. So these are the proposed improvements for Riverstone Parkway out here. So this is one of the highest scoring priority projects county-wide. It was ranked second for all of the corridor projects, showing that there's definitely some safety issues out there today. Some of these things are big ticket items, right? If you can read that very bottom total at the bottom is about a $4 million total cost. We are not proposing that these things have to be happening all at once. These are things that can sort of be chipped away at over time. So, and a couple of these, the two bottom items in particular are really zero cost items. They are things that can be done just with the traffic signal operations and still have a really big impact on safety overall. The crash reduction factors for some of these items are in the 20 and 30%. So there's big impact that can happen even with these sort of low-hanging fruit items. There's also a broad structure of policies and programs based here, everywhere from project development all the way through design, delivery, and then the overall legal framework. And next steps. So we are here presenting to Canton and other partner jurisdictions over the next few weeks. Once the Cherokee County Board of Commissioners adopts, we will submit to Federal Highway Administration for their review, and the plan will be approved. Following that, we hope that this process will live on in the form of the steering committee. We do have a QR code up here. Our draft plan, full draft plan, is posted on the website at the link listed there. So if anyone would like to give a review and drop a comment on our website, it would be much appreciated. And with that, I will finish up. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much. Next, we have a presentation of business survey results by our Economic Development Manager, Andy Leslie. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to update you all tonight. I will be brief, I promise. This survey I put out, it was active for about 5 weeks, and just to kind of get a feel for our current business climate, what's going well, what are some of the challenges, and so we will go through this quickly this evening. The downtown Canton business mix, this was actually mentioned a few times in the survey, and so out of curiosity for myself, I went through the types of businesses that we have downtown, and I'm in the process of doing this for our businesses citywide as well. It's obviously a bit more cumbersome citywide, but currently our mix, you can see we have just over 200 active businesses in our downtown area, and just over half of those are professional services. We've got a healthy mix of food and drink, would like to definitely see a little bit more retail, and maybe some more restaurants too. The model from Main Street America is the idealistic model is that we would have a 20% mix of each. Restaurant, retail, services, residential, which we know is a focus for us as well. And so this is just, I think, helpful for us to keep in mind as we move forward and plan for the future of downtown. Our top survey respondents, we had a total of 57 respondents, which was a little lower than I had hoped, but we are at least opening the lines of communication, and hopefully we'll continue to foster that with our business owners here in Canton. You can see we had a good mix: healthcare, construction, retail, food and drink, legal, technology, and then the rest kind of ran the gamut in terms of types of businesses that we heard from. We had a healthy mix of businesses that have been around anywhere from less than a year to over 20 years. So that was positive. And then our current business climate, 75% rated our current business climate as either excellent or good, had very positive things to say. 16% were neutral, 7% said that they're having a challenging time, and 3.5% said they are having some difficulties. Canton's greatest strengths as a place to do business, Please don't judge my terrible attempt at doing some graphic design. I will leave that to Lauren and her team next time. But you can see we had some really positive feedback, everything from a very supportive community to a fantastic downtown. We're experiencing lots of growth, which is great for business. We're a family-friendly community, and we have that wonderful small town vibe. The top challenges based on this survey were staffing and workforce, overhead costs, and infrastructure. And I also wanted to note that 23% said that they need a lot of help with their marketing efforts and attracting customers in general. So how can we improve? I know that's kind of small text now that I'm looking at it. Some of the key themes that we heard on this survey were streamlining our licensing and permitting process, educating on our regulations, and just making it easier to navigate, a desire for a more diverse mix of businesses downtown, particularly street-level storefronts, assistance in marketing efforts, specifically how to reach more customers, more housing downtown, expanding tourism drivers, keeping people downtown longer, especially in the evenings, and then improved infrastructure to support business access. Our licensing and permitting process, there were some concerns that the permit costs don't always necessarily match the project scale. Many found the process to be smooth. Others, of course, requested that we streamline it as much as possible. The online portal was actually very praised as easy to navigate, which I thought that was very positive. Several requested faster approval times for licensing and permitting, requests for one point of contact rather than having to go to multiple departments to get questions answered, and then clearer guidance on navigating the process. And then also, I should mention, our Hispanic community asked for assistance in translating and making that process easier for them to understand when Spanish is their first language. So some next steps, educating myself so that hopefully I can be that point of contact in the business liaison and help people navigate the process and hopefully help alleviate Steve and others that I know get inundated a lot. And hopefully I can be kind of the go-to to help them navigate that process a little more easily. Programming and resources, of course, developing our own, and then promoting, did I do that? Here we go. And then promoting our partners. We have incredible partners at the Chamber, Co-Ed, and the Small Business Development Center. And there are tons of resources already available, so we want to make sure that our businesses are aware and taking advantage of that. Updating our step-by-step guide for starting a business. It's currently available online in English and in Spanish, and Lauren and her team have agreed to help with that. Just updating it, making sure it is accurate and up to date. Creating a doing business downtown guide with Valinda. Just some general best practices and guides to regulations and resources that are available specifically for our downtown businesses. Starting a business in Canton guide and campaign, again in collaboration with Lauren and her team via social media and on the website. Strategic recruitment and retention efforts, of course, and then assisting prospects like we already do, and just refining that from locating to opening, and then, of course, scaling their businesses here in the city. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Auntie. Any questions for Auntie at this time?
Thank you all.
Good work. Thanks for the information. You have in your packet the draft meeting minutes from our council meeting on February 6, 2025. Are there any changes, revisions, or motions?
Motion to approve. Second.
A motion approved and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All members voted for the motion. You have also in your packet the review of the December 2024 financials. Mr. Ingram is here. Do you have any comments or any questions for him?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. You have in front of you the financial statements for the period ending December 31st, 2024. This is particularly noteworthy because it's 25% through our fiscal year, so it gives us a good opportunity to look back at the funds and the departments to see how we're tracking with budget. As you'll notice, the general fund, almost every function is tracking right along with that 25% budget, so that's very good news. It is also worth noting that our sales tax And the excise taxes, like the rental car tax and the hotel motel taxes, are exceeding budget expectations right around 30%. So that's also good news for the city. But if you have any specific questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those, or if I can, I'll get an answer for you immediately.
Okay. Good news on those. Any questions from Mr. Ingram tonight? We know where to find you.
Thank you.
We had any announcements this evening?
Mayor.
Yes, Ms. McGrew?
Thank you. Ward 1 will be having a town hall next Thursday here at 6 o'clock p.m. And the format would be a table variety where members of the staff will be at different tables and the public can ask questions, and then a short introduction by Mr. Johnson and myself, and then question and answers from the public. That's next Thursday at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Ms. McGrew. Look forward to that. Any others? Okay. And no one sign up for the 10-minute public input meeting tonight, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 4 items on the consent agenda. I will read those just to review them with council. These are previously discussed items that we seem to have consensus on. If anyone would like any of these removed for further discussion, we can do so. Item A, approval of task order agreement contract renewal for professional engineering services to Black & Veatch Corporation. Item B, approval of the distribution relocation conversion project binding agreement between Georgia Power Company and the City of Canton in the amount of $748,683.17. Item C, approval of task order 7 for West Main Street pedestrian bridge concepts from Practical Design Partners LLC in the amount of $76,500. And item D, approval of the award of task order 7 for the Transportation Improvement Project Highway 140 at Reinhardt College Parkway intersection improvement project design to Michael Baker International in the amount of $44,479.14. Anyone like to remove any of those items for further discussion? Hearing none, would anyone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All members voted for the motion. We will move into old business now. Item A, discussion and possible action on cases ANNX 2409-001, RZON 2409-002, and MP 2409-003, request to annex, rezone, and gain master plan approval for 58.29 acres located on Knoxbridge Highway for a residential development. Mr. Green?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As the mayor just stated, this is a request to annex those properties, rezone them from AG and general commercial from Cherokee County. And the applicant has requested planned development residential. Due to the nature of the lot sizes, the staff is recommending a rezoning to R4, which is a minimum lot size of 4,000 square feet. The total development will consist of 200 single-family detached homes. The south side consists of 4.69 acres, have 142 homes. The north side is 17.6 acres and will have 58 homes. There's been some discussion about a traffic study. The original submission was for 171 homes. Our application for public hearing requires a traffic study be submitted if there's 200 or more homes. The revised site plan that has been submitted does indeed show 200 homes. The applicant has submitted a traffic study, which came in this past Monday. However, the traffic study was done using the original site plan that only had one means of ingress-egress on the south parcel, and it also totaled 98 homes. The applicant has sent an email this afternoon requesting that these matters be tabled in order to give them another opportunity to better evaluate the traffic study. and the staff has recommended approval with several suggested conditions. I'll be glad to read those if you do not table this matter tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Green.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a conflict with this case, so I will not participate in the.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Roach. Appreciate that. So as with other, in the past, this case involves annexation requests plus rezoning and master plan approval. So annexation is always a question on the table, depending on the other topics, whether or not need discussion. We also have requests from the applicant to table this until an additional traffic study can be done. So at this point, I will open up to council for your comments, discussion, on how you want to proceed. Mr. Yon?
Mr. Mayor, if there are no questions or comments, I would make a motion to deny the annexation at this time.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to deny the annexation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. All members voted for the motion with the exception of Mr. Roach, who recused himself from the vote. Item B, discussion and possible action on cases CUP 2411-004 and ZCA 2411-003, request for conditional use permit and zoning condition amendment for River Green Pods J1 and J2 for the construction of 95 townhomes and 6 single-family detached homes. Mr. Green?
Again, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is a request for a zoning condition amendment and conditional use permit for pods J1 and J2 of the River Green subdivision. These two particular pods have been approved for 110 single-family detached homes. The applicant is requesting to go from single-family detached to 95 attached townhomes and 6 single-family detached homes. The staff has recommended approval of this request with a list of possible conditions, which I'll be glad to read for you should you decide to vote on this tonight and to approve.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Green. We've discussed this. So we'll open up to council for any questions for Mr. Green and discussion on this.
We have one question there.
Mr. Tolan?
As a refresher for us and the public, Mr. Green, could you please read?
Yes, sir. The possible conditions include, number 1, the total number of residential units for Lakemont at River Green shall be 101. The submitted letter of intent shall be the development guidelines for Lakemont at River Green, with the exception of the rear setback of lots abutting Fieldstone. These shall remain at a 50-foot setback as originally approved. The blocking of sidewalks by vehicles is strictly prohibited. And number 4, additional parking provided along the public streets shall not encroach on the right-of-way. This design shall be approved by staff during the land disturbance application process.
And then one follow-up question. The applicant at the last meeting indicated, well, actually after the last meeting indicated that they have no intent on developing any other land in that neighborhood. So I just wanted to make that part of the public record that they have stated that they have no intent to develop further beyond this request.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And also just for confirmation, the existing master plan today for that pod includes 110 single-family homes that can be built today without any additional requests from council, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And so this application is asking for 95 for-sale townhomes, fee simple townhomes, and 6 single-family for a total of 101, or so a reduction of 9 units, is correct?
Yes, sir. There are some lots out there that have already been platted for single-family homes.
Right. Those 6, correct. And then the remaining property on the new proposed development would remain green space, correct?
That's correct. It's about 46% of these 2 pods will be in some type of green space or conservation easement.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McGrew?
Mr. Green, since this is a master plan amendment, would this section be using the old plant palette, or would they be subject to the current one?
With this change in the conditions, they will be subject to the new plant palette.
Thank you.
Mr. Waterman?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. And also Mr. Dyer, if you could just keep me in check here. But I'd like to make a motion to approve the CUP 2411-004 and zoning condition amendment 2411-003 based on the letter of intent as presented by the applicant. And the aforementioned CUP and ZCA is limited to the applicant, JWC Lakeside LLC, and may not be transferred.
I think you'd want to also add that to adopt the conditions that were read by Mr. Green.
And correct. And to adopt the addition or the conditions as read by Mr. Green.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All members voted for the motion. Thank you, Mr. Green. Item C, discussion and possible action on cases ZCA 2412-002, MPA 2412-001, and CUP 2501-001, request for zoning condition amendment, master plan amendment, and conditional use permit to amend the previously approved Park Village master plan. Mr. Green?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As you stated, these applications include a zoning condition amendment, master plan amendment, and a conditional use permit. This is for the Becker development located on the north end of town. This composes of 37.8 acres. They are looking for 452,100 square feet of light industrial, office, general commercial, retail, and residential space on the south side of Technology Ridge Parkway. They are looking for 35 residential units composed of single-family, detached, duplexes, and townhome units on the north side of Technology Ridge Parkway.
Thank you. Again, we've discussed this, and again, for confirmation, the intended usage is not an increase of any of these usages, correct?
That is correct.
Council, any questions or discussions for Mr. Green? Ms. McGrew?
Mr. Green, do you mind reading the conditions?
Well, the staff has recommended approval with the following conditions. There should be a 50-foot buffer along the northern and eastern property lines. The first 25 feet of this buffer adjacent to the property line shall be planted with plant material that shall provide an opaque screen to the adjacent property. Virginia pines and eastern red cedar shall not be used in said buffer. All other plant material shall be selected from the City of Canton plant palette. There shall be an additional 25-foot building setback along the eastern property line for a total distance of 75 feet from the residential lots and amenity area. The buffer area along the northern property line may be supplemented with additional plant material or sparsely vegetated. These additional planting shall be approved by the Department of Community Development. Encroachments into the buffer area shall be limited to those shown on the site plan by ADC Engineering dated December 6, 2024. Number 2, all perimeter site lighting shall face inwards towards the subject property. Wall packs lighting shall not be allowed on any exterior building wall. Number 3, a traffic study shall be submitted with the land disturbance permit application. Number 4, delivery hours shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday. There shall be no Sunday deliveries. The Native Plant Rescue Society shall be allowed access to the property prior to any land disturbance activity taking place to search for and remove any endangered plant species. Number 6, the proposed parking deck shall be designed so as to prevent direct viewing from the parking deck to the adjacent amenity area. Number 7, the mixed-use buildings as depicted on the submitted site plan shall be used for commercial and/or retail and/or office and/or residential use. Any and all different building usages can be combined in each single building. The residential units north of Technology Ridge Parkway, as depicted on the submitted site plan, may include a mix of townhomes, duplex, condominium, and single-family detached units. Number 9, subdivision, separate ownership of parts of the subject property and/or conveyance of part of the subject property to different owners shall not create non-conforming lots for uses and shall not require any changes to the site plan for the development nor any variances. The newly created property lines which arise from these conveyances are not required to observe setback, buffer, or other zoning requirements except as may be reflected on the site plan. Number 10, development of the subject property shall be in accordance with the applicant's submitted letter of intent. And I had omitted one, which will be number 11. All site lighting shall be of such intensity that it shall not interfere or impede the flight of migratory birds. We also recommend approval of the CUP with one condition. The residential portion north of Technology Ridge Parkway shall be developed in substantial accordance with the submitted letter of intent.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Mr. Yon?
Yes, I know we have discussed this before, and I don't know if we've ever come up with a good answer on what we can do on putting a time limit on master plans and master plan amendments. I don't want to approve master plan amendments or master plans and wind up in the same place we are now with 20 and 30-year-old master plans still on the books. Have we determined that we can put a limit?
I think we can. I think one of the problems we're having is figuring out how to do it logistically. Like, what's the trigger? Because if you say pull a permit, they clear their land and it sits for 20 years and they can still do it. So it's identifying what it is that has to happen within that period of time. And in discussing that, I think I sort of end up of probably we shouldn't do it then because there may be unintended consequences of doing that. The city council can always rezone a property.
Okay.
We just haven't done that before.
Okay. So on your advice, I will table that for now.
Always a good question, though. Anything else?
If there are no other questions, I would like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Tolan?
I will move that we approve the request for zoning condition amendment, master plan amendment, and conditional use permit to amend the previously approved Park Village master plan to include the conditions as outlined by Mr. Green.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All members present voted for the motion. In item D, discussion and possible action on request by Northside Hospital Cherokee to amend the road impact fee development agreement for construction of a new traffic intersection at the hospital. Mr. Ingram.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. If you recall, Northside Hospital Cherokee was aiming to construct another intersection just south of their existing entrance. Back in July of 2024, they approached the City Council as well as the county and asked for mutual participation in the cost of that intersection, which was about $196,000. And at that time, Council did approve the city's participation in that project. We also mentioned to Council that we would bring forth a new development agreement that would allow Northside to take their cost associated with that and put it into a road impact fee credits, similar to what they have existing. In my apologies, but when I attached that to this item tonight, I failed to include the correct development agreement. So with my apologies, I'm going to ask Mayor and Council if y'all would be amenable to us to defer this to March 6th, but I can provide to y'all the correct development agreement. But I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have tonight.
So that's just the next meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that won't cause any delays or schedules
No,
or
sir.
anything? And I know this is kind of the agreement that we originally discussed with Northside when we originally approved our one-third contribution, correct?
Yes, Mayor, and also we had to wait until we added that property onto our CIE, which was adopted at the end of the year.
Great. Does anyone have any issue with deferring this to the next meeting so we have the correct development agreement to review in detail?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We would need a motion to do that, motion to postpone until March 6th.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to postpone this item until March 6th meeting.
Okay. There's a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All members voted for the motion. Okay. Find my agenda here. So we'll move into new business at this time. We'll begin with a staff report. This is just for your information only on upcoming case. There'll be no discussion. Cases MPA 2412-004 and CUP 2412-003. Request to amend certain conditions placed upon previously approved master plan amendment and conditional use permit in Pod 1 of Riverstone. Mr. Green, welcome back.
Good to be back. As you stated, this is for information only. Previously, Dominium had submitted a master plan amendment to this particular part or section of Pod I, seeking for approval of apartments. A letter of intent for their master plan and their conditional use permit specifically stated that they would be for seniors. Dominium has not yet developed the property. It has gone to a new developer. I think it's called TBG Residential, and they have submitted applications to amend that master plan approval and CUP approval to allow for rental to families as well as senior citizens. This application will be coming before you as a public hearing, the first meeting in March.
Okay. Thank you for the information, Mr. Green. Item B, discussion of abandonment of alley at West Marietta Street and quitclaim deed to Gamesa Properties LLC. Mr. Green, again?
This particular little block is slated for the development of 8 single-family detached homes. I believe during the applicant's due diligence process, they discovered the existence of an alleyway there that was an easement or owned by the city. They are requesting that the city abandon that alley so they can proceed with their development. Mr. Dyer has prepared a couple of documents for them should the council decide to vote to abandon this alley. One is a resolution to abandon the alley, and the other is a quitclaim deed.
Okay. And we have determined there's no need for the city for this alley?
No, sir, there's no evidence that this alley's ever been used.
Apparently it just showed up in surveys, not ever on.
We've had a few of those over the years, correct? Okay. Any questions for Mr. Green? And we'll consider this as the next meeting on action?
We can, and unless Mr. Dyer thinks we could go ahead with the vote tonight.
It's up to y'all. There's no reason not to wait.
Yeah. Any questions, discussion, or motions?
Well, if we can, if there are no further questions, I would say we go ahead and make a motion to abandon the alley at West Marietta Street and quitclaim deed to Gamesa Properties LLC.
Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All members voted for the motion. Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you.
Item C, discussion and possible action on support of Cherokee County's Community Development Assistance Program, CDAP application submission to Atlanta Regional Commission, ARC, for a small area plan for the historic Pea Ridge community.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Cherokee County, in conjunction with the Charlie Ferguson Community Center, anticipates submitting a Community Development Assistance Program application to Atlanta Regional Commission for consideration, and they are seeking your support. This program provides technical planning assistance to undertake local planning activities that assist communities in reaching the goals identified by ARC. The application request is for a small area plan for the historic Pea Ridge community to ensure its significant history and catalytic services and to address the existing needs while proactively preparing for the future. I have provided you all with a draft map showing the potential boundaries for the proposal. Collaborations are ongoing, and the selected area will be finalized prior to the application deadline on Friday, February 28th. If you are inclined to support Cherokee County and the Charlie Ferguson Community Center in moving forward with their CDAP application, I have provided you with a letter of support for you all to act on tonight. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Just want to begin by saying how much I appreciate the county and everyone who's worked on this initiative. And I know when we discussed the project recently at this location, the request was made to do some planning, joint planning with the county, and to ensure that this community can be the best it can possibly be for the residents and for the community and as a whole. So I'm so happy to see this as this application, and my understanding is there'll be bountiful public input from the community on how they want their future and community to proceed and grow and develop. And so I totally welcome this, and I want to thank everyone for acting when it comes to government very quickly on this. So it has my full support. Or any other questions or comments about this? Ms. McGrew?
I would like to make a motion to give our support of the Cherokee County's Community Development Assistance Program.
Second.
Well, a motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All members voted for the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item D, discussion of a proposed resolution of the City Council of Canton adopting a Vision Zero policy. Mr. Ingram?
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. As you know, the city has been partnering with other municipalities and stakeholders with the primary participant of the county on the Safe Streets for All project. We've had a number of meetings. I want to extend my appreciation for Ms. Bethany Watson and Ms. Brittany Anderson, their participation in those meetings as well. And I also want to extend my appreciation to Ms. Kat Anor. You heard a presentation from her earlier today about some of the things that we've been discussing and projects that we've been pointing out that would help make our community safer. What they're asking for is each council as well as the county to adopt a Vision Zero policy. And I wanted to reiterate that this is not obligating the city of any fund. It is simply stating that we're resolving to have a Vision Zero for safety accidents in our community. So we're not asking for any action tonight. You'll see that on your next agenda for action at that time. If you have any questions, if I can't answer those, I'll be more than happy to get with Pond Engineering in the county and others to get a response back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. I just had one general question. Of course, what's there to argue with here? But on the the roadway improvement suggestions, Riverstone and all, and I know it's not a commitment financially, but how does that coincide with our master transportation plan? Did it inform these solutions? Are those projects in line with that?
There were some similar projects on that Safe Streets for All program. And we also pointed out in our discussions with the county and other municipalities that many of these streets that they have these projects on are not city-owned streets. They are either county and or state. So some of those projects, especially like on Marietta Highway, That's unfortunately sometimes beyond our at least direct control. So we discussed that with them. They know that. And again, some of these projects are just an aspiration that can be done for Vision Zero policy.
Definitely. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Any other questions, comments?
I do have one.
Okay.
Mr. Ingram, it wasn't obvious to me. Is there a relationship between this work and GDOT? And I'm thinking particularly the intersection that we keep hearing about at 140 and Mountain View there at J. Michael Prime. Do we have any visibility as it relates to, can this influence GDOT decisions, for instance?
Oh, I'm sure it can influence GDOT's decisions. It's a resolution that these are important in our community. These safety projects are important. So I would go so far as to say I think it will influence GDOT's decision. Now, is that specific project on there? Not sure if others. I'd have to find out for sure.
It was mentioned in the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Young?
I just want to say it's been my pleasure to represent this council as a stakeholder at these meetings, and it has been very interesting, the discussion, and almost surprising how universal most of these projects were, from every police department and the sheriff's department, the fire department, every city in the county, everybody was represented at the table and had really good input, and I'm really interested to see their final report because I've really enjoyed the process of this proposal.
Definitely, and thank you for your service on that committee, Mr. Yon. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Ingram.
Thank you.
Mr. Peppers.
Good evening. Just a couple of items. I did want to let you know that Public Works has opened up all of our parks. Etowah River Park and Heritage Park have reopened this week after the flooding that we experienced over the last week. There is a section of trail in between those two parks that still has some areas of it that are underwater, and so that portion has not reopened. As with any flooding that we have in those particular areas, the first thing that Public Works tries to do is clear the hardscape, so sidewalks, parking, etc. With those, the problem is we do that, we end up with silt and sediment that end up on both sides of the trail or sidewalks. And so as we work to get that removed, if we have rain events in between, we may end up with some areas of standing water until we can get all of that removed. We've not had significant flooding like that in many years at those parks. And so, this is, it's a busy season for Public Works as it relates to that silt removal. But they've worked very hard, and we get questions occasionally from residents. Why do you invest in parks in the floodplain? Well, that's about the only thing you can build in a floodplain. Frankly, 90% of the year we don't have any issues with any flooding in our park. So it's a good use of space for our residents. Having said that, Public Works is a hard job. And, what we've tried to do over the last week is share as many pictures as we can just to show the public exactly what's out there and what's happening so that it's clear to them, what we're trying to get cleaned up. So as we finish that last section of trail, we'll make sure that we announce the also, I wanted to remind the council that for your winter retreat, that'll be March 13th, 14th, and 15th. That is at Lake Lanier. We will have a visit on that Thursday in the late afternoon and early evening of the city of Gainesville. While we're there, we'll look at some housing and mixed-use development projects that they have in their downtown. On Friday night, we'll do a similar thing and go visit the city of Sugar Hill and look at some mixed-use development and housing that they have in their downtown. And during the days on Thursday, Friday, and the morning on Saturday, we'll be meeting at the lodge there at Lake Lanier for meetings and discussions during the day. Lastly, I just want to recognize our team member of the month for January, which was Officer Driscoll. He works on our A team with the police department. He's been with us. It'll be 2 years later this month. He was recommended by his colleagues for his dedication to the team. He does have a little bit of a humor side to him as well, so that was noted from some of his colleagues. Mr. Ingram and I had the distinct pleasure of presenting him with his award at 5:30 in the morning on Tuesday this week as they were getting ready for their roll call and shift change. And so it was quite a surprise for him for us to show up and be there for that. But we appreciate the hard work of all of our employees, and our Team Member of the Month program is just one way where we are able to recognize them, especially in front of their colleagues and peers, so that they know that we appreciate the services they provide. This time I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Peppers. And again, congratulations to Officer Driscoll. And please share our appreciation to our Public Works team for their hard work getting our parks reopened. And thanks for sharing the photos, too, because I think it really helps people realize what the impacts have been. So we love our rivers till they flood. We love our trees till they fall. And but some of these things we can't exactly legislate when they happen. So. Look forward to the retreat. I know we have a lengthy agenda, a lot of items to discuss. We're going to see some good projects, other cities, how they're approaching some of these issues. So it's going to be, as always, productive work. So look forward to that. Any questions from Mr. Peppers? Mr. Waterman?
Mr. Peppers, I may have asked this last meeting, but just to keep it on the radar, to have at some point in the future a city council meeting to invite some representatives from GDOT to discuss future plans, especially for Highway 20 and 140.
Sure. So I sent an email late last week, it was, to GDOT, to our district engineer, basically saying, hey, we'd like an update on GDOT projects in the city limits of Canton. Here's our meeting dates for March and April. Please get back with me.
Okay.
So the ask is out there.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing back from them. So, anything else? Okay, I have nothing on for my report this evening. So we didn't have any council introduced items. Just double checking. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're adjourned. Stay safe, everyone.